Hey, what's up folks? My name is Luke and I have just returned from a private photographic safari, a very heavy photographic safari from the central and western Serengeti. We visited two incredible properties, one being Dunya Camp and the other being Legendary Expeditions Mila Tented Camp. Anyway, stick around if you want to learn more about the Serengeti and see what we saw. Righto folks, so let's get into it. You know, I put the safari together quite early on this year actually, and it was a bit stressful trying to get the availability at a lot of these camps. You know, safari is a very popular thing and some of the top camps are very popular as well, which makes them quite difficult to book and get right. But on this particular safari, we were very lucky. We got the availability that we needed very close out from the actual booking. And it was phenomenal. Now, we were on safari for about 16 days, 17 days, something like that, all within the Serengeti. And there were actually three properties involved, the third one being Singita Grumeti, which was also incredible, but I would like to do that as its own sort of standalone trip report at some point in the future. So as I said, the first location we stayed at on this one was Dunya Camp, which is managed and run by Asilia, which is an incredible lodging company in East Africa. They run in Kenya, Tanzania, and I think Uganda, I'm not too sure. But yeah, they do a really good job, and we decided to give this camp a try. It is quite close to the central Serengeti, which can be fairly busy for those of you that are looking to go to the Serengeti, particularly at that time of year as the sort of peak season starts to approach. But nonetheless, it was an incredible place. You have to also bear in mind with the Serengeti, there's a lot of driving involved between certain hotspots and so forth. So yeah, I mean, if you want to get to Gold Koppies from Dunya Camp, it's a good 2-hour drive. If you want to get to Masai Koppies, probably about an hour, hour and a half. So you have to time things in order to get those beautiful scenes of cats up on the rocks, which is what we all go to the Serengeti, especially the central and eastern Serengeti, to try and get. Anyway, we were there for 4 nights, so not too long of a stay. Typically speaking, myself and the guests that I was traveling with, we usually do about 6 to 8 nights per camp, just to really allow the area to settle and hopefully hit a hotspot while you're there. But yeah, just giving yourself enough time to really explore. Anyway, so you know, I've got a few sightings from the first two properties, Dunya Camp, which is incredible, and Mila Tented Camp, which I'll chat about in just a little bit. I've got my list here, I've got 8 different sightings with a couple of little slot-ins there that were just real standouts. And the first one was, you know, at Dunya Camp, as we got there, we got off the plane, we started driving to the camp, and we came across some lions in a tree, which turned out to be the main theme, either lions in trees or lions on rocks, which is great for photography, especially when you're used to photographing cats on the ground. But yeah, we got some lions in the tree first afternoon. Now, unfortunately, I had a bit of a peanut allergy reaction that I did not know about. I've eaten peanuts my whole life, but on this particular day, I suddenly became allergic to peanuts. So while we had lions in the tree, we had to unfortunately leave them on that first afternoon and get back to the camp. I was fine after a couple of hours and all good. But the next morning we got going, and you know, later on towards the end of the day, we were doing full day drives. Towards the end of the day, we were coming back towards camp, and we came across these girls all sleeping in the tree. And it was great. We sat there and we waited for probably a good hour or two. We went for a couple of toilet breaks, bathroom breaks, checked the tires, whatever you want to call it, and came back later in the evening. And finally, one of the girls decided to jump down the tree, not before having a wee out of the tree, which I caught on camera, which I'll play for you guys at some point now. But yeah, we got her jumping out of the tree finally, and you know, after a long wait, and I was pretty chuffed. We were pretty chuffed with the whole sighting. From there, we went back to the camp and had a nice, relaxing evening without getting caught in the rain this time. You know, the next couple of days unfolded really well. We had incredible sightings of different cats, cheetahs, all sorts of things. But the standout sighting that came a couple of days later was witnessing the beginning of the migration coming into the area. Now, we estimated there to be about 80, 90, 100,000 wildebeest in this scene. Now, of course, with scenes like this, everybody goes with, you know, a much higher number than what is actually there. But on this occasion, we kind of came to that conclusion. There were a lot of wildebeest, and it was really fun to sit quietly and just get all the noises. Pretty cool, right? So yeah, we spent a lot of time there. We then went for some breakfast, and we slowly started heading out into the rest of the Serengeti for the day. Another all-day drive. It was a lot of fun being on the vehicle all day. It's tiring, don't get me wrong, but we had the luxury of a photographic vehicle there, which at Asili is pretty cool. They've got these big flatbed sort of Land Cruisers. They only have 3 chairs, one in the front like that, one in the middle angled off to the right, and the other one at the back angled off back towards the left. And all of the chairs can swivel. So you've got this little handle that you pull up, and you can turn the chair however you like. You can also fold down the sides of the vehicle and lie flat. So yeah, quite a bit of fun and a lot more comfortable than sitting in a normal game drive vehicle for that length of time. My next sighting was lions up on the Masai Kopis, which are quite famous in the central Serengeti. These Masai Kopis are big boulders, rocky outcrops, and quite large as well. And we found some lions up there, and we were really, really chuffed because there was a male lion up there. And we sat and waited for a long time for the male to actually present himself in a photographic position. He did eventually, and we managed to get the prime location to see it. We then sat with them for a while and just filmed them and photographed their silhouettes and all sorts of things as they played around on the rocks. It was truly spectacular. We did get caught in the rain this afternoon. But you know what, when you're getting amazing shots and amazing footage and things like that, and just this incredible experience, it's all good. We did wait for the cubs for the longest time to show themselves properly. We kept getting little heads popping up here and there, but really it was the male and the female that were the stars of the show. Next up, we then moved on to Mila Tented Camp, which is in the western sector of the Serengeti. The western sector is a true gem of the Serengeti. It's not as busy. There's a lot less camps, fewer camps. But yeah, just a very special place, also for tree climbing lions, good for leopards, good for cheetahs. Just really is a great area. And Mila Tented Camp was one of my favorite camps I think I've ever stayed at, both from a guiding point of view. We had a phenomenal guide, culinary point of view, game viewing point of view, lodging point of view. It was just really, really well managed, really well put together. Yeah, the vehicle was also pretty cool. 2 seats at the front, 2 seats at the back, so a lot of legroom. It's basically like going on a business class safari drive, with more than enough space for your camera equipment. And really quite comfortable. Anyway, one of the sightings I really wanted to talk about from this particular place was a leopard going up a tree and down a tree and then back up a tree and then down a tree. This doesn't happen very often in the wildlife photography world or wildlife viewing world. You know, us as wildlife photographers, normal safari goers even will sit and wait for a leopard to come up or down a tree for hours on end. And on this particular afternoon, we most definitely did. We waited a long time for her. We had spent a bit of time with her in the morning, but eventually she came down the tree, went back up the tree. It was stunning. The light was awesome. She then moved to another tree, went up that tree, down that tree. It was great. I mean, it was like being in a candy store. Absolutely incredible. Little did we know that, well, we did know. There was a storm blowing in behind us while we were photographing the leopard. Here behind us, there was a storm blowing in with the sun going down. And once the leopard had kind of gone up the tree and disappeared into the thickets of the tree while she fed, I kind of had a look behind me and I noticed one of the most incredible sunsets, storm sets, whatever you want to call it, sky porn, whatever. It was just absolutely incredible. And, one of those special moments, one of those goosebump moments. You've got a leopard feeding in a tree behind you. You've got this beautiful sunset in front of you. And I managed to capture a cool piece of footage of the rain coming down in front of the sun, and a little bird that I didn't even know at the time was flying through that frame. So very, very cool. And I captured it in slow motion, which I was super chuffed about. But we got really carried away. And for people that are primarily there just to shoot wildlife, not too worried about landscapes, sunsets, this, that, the other, it had all of us on board, including our guide, who was a photographer himself, just besotted, and really, really special moment out in the field. Anyway, we then went back to camp for another amazing meal. Incredible camp. Can't say anything anything else better about them, but absolutely incredible. Now, one of the themes that we had at Mila Tented Camp was lions. They call it the Simba Camp because of the density of lions around them. And you can often have these prides of 20, 30, 40 lions in that area. Now, unfortunately, when the migration isn't there, and we missed the migration, the bulk of it by probably 5, 6 days, maybe 10 days. But when the migration's not around, a lot of these lion prides split up. There's just simply not enough food. And so you have pockets of like 9 lions, 5 lions, 10 lions, 3 lions, whatever it might be. Anyway, basically the theme of our entire stay was mating lions. And I think we spent time with 4 different pairs of mating lions over the 6 days that we were there. It was amazing. Slow motion mating lions, photography mating lions, full motion mating lions, mating lions with the whole pride around. It was just cool. It was a lot of fun, and we definitely filled out our portfolios with top quality mating lion shots. So yeah, very, very cool. We then, on one of the days, decided to go down to the Serengeti River, which hugs sort of the ridge on the side of the western sector. And we went down there, and our guy, we're not really crocodile photographers or so on. Crocodiles are great to see. They're not very easy to photograph, but our guide assured us that it would be cool. So we went down there, we checked out a crocodiles just all lying at this weir as the water rushed over, and they all lie there with their mouth open, just waiting for a fish to pop into their mouth. And while we didn't see a fish pop into a crocodile's mouth, much to their dismay, even though they didn't move at all, didn't look very upset, but I'm sure they would have preferred it if a fish did go in their mouth. Nonetheless, we did see a fish eagle, not quite catch the fish, we were looking the wrong way unfortunately, but a fish eagle caught 2 fish randomly. All of a sudden here's this fish eagle sitting on the rock trying to eat its fish, and there's just crocodiles coming at him from every different angle. Everyone was trying to get it. There was even a monitor lizard that tried to get some of that fish. But this poor old fish eagle was trying to fly off with 2 fish in its talons. The weight was incredible. It was landing in the water. Crocodiles were trying to chase it down. Eventually it got it into this nice little bunch of branches and so forth. You'll see the footage. And eventually a hummercorp was trying to steal from it. The monitor, the lizard, then popped out at that point in time, and the fish eagle flew down onto the ground with its fish, with its kill, and a crocodile then came out. And I managed to capture it on film, so I hope you enjoy it. But yeah, a crocodile tried to grab the fish from the fish eagle. It was just, it was a great, amazing sighting, and we really enjoyed spending our time there on the river for about an hour or so, just watching the whole thing unfold. So yeah, a lot of fun. The last thing that I would like to chat about on this particular trip report was, on one morning we were trying to get down to an area where there's 5 cheetahs were reported. It was a mom with 4 of her cubs. Who doesn't want to see 5 cheetahs? It's like seeing a pride of lions, just with spots and a lot smaller. Anyway, on the way there, we came across a huge herd of zebra, maybe, 1,000, 2,000. I'm going to make it a higher number than it probably was, as I say. But yeah, huge amounts of zebra. We spent a good amount of time with them. It was incredible to see the lions coming over. So that's sort of the front of the migration coming, A few wildebeest dripping in here and there, but really it was just the zebra, the big old dazzle of zebra. And yeah, we got carried away with them for a long time. Anyway, we then moved on to our cheetah and had a great time with them. The light was kind of busted, as we say, late morning, but harsh. But, we spent a lot of time with them, and it's always nice just to see 5 cheetahs lazing on one termite mound. Pretty hard to get them all in one photograph, particularly when the light's busted and things are just a bit tricky. But great experience nonetheless. And those are sort of my top moments of those 10 nights in the Serengeti before we moved on to Singita Grumeti, which is also part of that western sector. So yeah, it was an incredible trip. The Serengeti always proves itself as one of the ultimate game viewing meccas of Africa. You will not go wrong going there. But yeah, great lodging, great guides, great staff, great food, great wildlife viewing, of course. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed me chatting about these sightings and seeing a little bit of the footage and the imagery. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and we look forward to getting back to you on those. And if you'd like to go to the Serengeti, just get in touch and we'll make it happen for you. It's incredible. Anyway guys, see you in the next one. Cheers.